Tony Hawkins has got a podcast. I hope he's better at this than he is washing the kit, because he was fucking useless.
Well, like I say, Tony, I've paid the hosting fee for another year, so people have to put up with another year's worth of this crap, to be quite honest.
Yep.
It's gone up as well. It's gone up by 10 of your English pounds. Which is a bit annoying.
That's more than 10%.
It is, yeah. I mean, it was quite... like, it comes off automatically in your bank, sends you like Sorry,
the penalty's been given.
What, the penalty?
Yeah.
Oh, my skybox is not working at the minute. Who is it for? Argentina?
Yeah, Messi's taking it.
Oh, there's a surprise. Like, Messi's taking it, but...
in the gob, I think.
But Ronaldo's going to claim it anyway, whatever happens.
Yeah. Missed it!
He hasn't missed it, has he? Has he really missed it? Honestly. Well, I'm taking it back by that.
Chesney Hawks saved it.
God blimey. Has he really missed it? Or a save?
Chesney saved it, yeah.
Well, there's a thing. Well, we've got a returning hero, Tony, in the form of Daniel Palmer. Hello, Daniel Palmer.
Hello. I'm just enjoying the talk about the penalty because I've got it on iPlayer, literally on the computer in front of me, and he's just about to take it on my screen. So I
tell you what will happen, Dan. He'll have it saved. Quite honestly.
Well, I hope so. If it changes, that'd be different.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great save.
It is, isn't it? So you're about a minute behind me then. The other night I was about a minute behind John.
You were, yeah? Oh, we're on. Oh, it's come on. Right, sorry. I've turned the volume down.
What's your timer? What's your timer say?
I've got 40.
Mine says
40 minutes and 18 seconds. I've got here.
I've got 40 minutes 18.
What
so you're 50 seconds.
38.50. I've got.
I'll be honest with you. What a save that is. That's a hell of a save, that, isn't it? Really is. Brilliant save. Right, anyway, talking about penalties, who's seen the Saturday's game?
Don't even.
I thought the first one, to use a cliche, I thought the first one was a stone wall penalty, but I was surprised when I actually seen the second one, because I thought, considering it was him, and I've taken against Johnson quite badly, I thought to myself, I'm not too sure if that is like a penalty, but that could just be my Milton Keynes bias. But the first one you thought, mate, you're an idiot, but the second one thought was a bit harsh, to be quite honest.
I thought it was the other way round.
Really?
So was O'Hara the first one then?
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason I remember it the other way round. But Johnson got his reward for giving the ball away again, didn't he?
Well, I'm done with him, Tony. I said I was done with him last week. I'm even.
It is.
What can you say?
Well, usually when he does something like that, he comes back and scores a worldie. But this time he's done it 2 in a row now, so he owes us at least 2 goals.
Well, that's Saturday sorted then.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.
Be 3-2 to them then, won't it, this weekend?
But, again, without giving that ball away and without the silly tackle, who knows? We would have been going to White Hart Lane.
I thought we looked much better, actually, when I watched the highlights. I thought, I know you're only seeing 3 minutes of a whole 90 minutes, but I thought we looked much better. Our first goal was a cracker, wasn't it?
I have to say, our first goal and their non-penalty goal were
both good goals.
Absolutely brilliant. I don't usually comment on opposing teams' goals, but yeah, their non-penalty goal was brilliant. Ours was. See, that's what we're good at, though. We're good at that. We can play that ball, and we see slightly different, obviously, when Barry scored his one, but we are really good at that, and attacking wise, we did seem to be a lot better. But there's still the
at the end of the day
effect.
Ultimately we played all right, but we've still lost as usual. Were you there, Dan? Yeah. Did you watch it?
Did you go?
No, so I'm just coming on to that. I hadn't even seen the highlights until we started this because we're probably going to come into this a bit later. But I've just been that John, you had the right word for last week. Apathetic about it all. I barely bothered. So I'm just having a look now. And which one of you said that the first one was maybe less of a penalty than the second?
I thought Johnson's, which is the second penalty, I didn't think that was. I give him the benefit.
I think
for that.
I think he took him. I think
the first one's stone-wall because it looks like O'Hara's just come across and just kicked at his shins. But I didn't go. I worked out earlier actually. I've only been to 10 games this season, whereas normally I'd probably try and be doing about 20 at this. I think we played 26 games, so I've tried to do pretty much all but the away Tuesday night ones, and I've done 10 of them, and I think that's only 2 away games.
What was that? 10 home and away?
Yeah.
Man, Jesus.
We've had 26 games, and I just went through and counted them all, and I've done 10. So it just shows how I feel about it all at the moment.
I just trying to think. I went to Cambridge.
Yeah, I went to Cambridge. Yeah, I went to Watford.
It's possible that I went to Cambridge.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to Morecambe. I didn't go to. I think Cambridge and Morecambe might be the only away games I've been to.
Well, like I say, I went to Cambridge on opening day and I went for that corporate hospitality business at Watford, and that's been it. I've been to every home game, so I don't know how many that is. Is that what? How many's that?
Yeah, I've only been to 2 away games this season.
Tony, you feel terrible for yourself, don't you know?
Well, and I said that I looked at the rest of the fixtures, the away fixtures for the rest of the season, and none of them
have grabbed you.
None of them have grabbed me. But it's like you said last week, I'm not engaged at the moment. I'm not. And Dan says he's very apathetic, and I think that's how a lot. I think there was there less than 300 Dons fans there on Saturday?
290 something, I think I remember from the announcement.
So these days, you're thinking sort of 300 to 350 used to be our average, and then we were getting some really good numbers last season. I think I don't think it's the time of year or cost of living. No, people make time for the football, and they'll budget for that. But I think it's simply because people are just not. They're just not into it.
There's just nothing to get you excited about going, is there? Not even for on Saturday. You think I'm taking my van in to have it serviced on Saturday morning, and you're thinking, the time I pick it up, will be 1 o'clock. I'm not even really that. Because normally I'd be thinking, oh God, I've got to try and get that van, get them to do it early so I can pick it up, get down there. I'll pick it up.
Isn't it an early kick-off this weekend though, as well?
Yeah, it's 12:30.
It never is it?
Yeah,
it's 12:30 kick-off.
Mate, I did not know that. Honestly, that's because of the World Cup.
They did it just in case Wales
just in case England were playing on Saturday afternoon.
I didn't know that. That's done me a kipper, that has. Oh well, it is what it is. I'll get there when I get there, won't I, Shit, I didn't know that. Well, it's a good job you told me. I'd be rocking up at...
But then that's sort of proving the point as well, because imagine last year if there was an early kick-off, we'd be right on it, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We'd know weeks in advance, we'd have planned all sorts, but this time, what is it, 3-4 days away? And
God, honest to God, it's a good job someone said that, because I would not have known that. God, that's pissed me off now. I'll have to try and get back a bit earlier now, won't I?
You definitely have to now if you want to watch at least some of the first half, if not all of the second half.
That's what it is, isn't it? Oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, it's 12:30. Well, that's just a nuisance, that, isn't it? Really. Oh.
As always, we're bang up to date on this show.
Jesus, I've just done me that. Has. Oh right, I might have to reschedule that. I wonder if I could. Oh, nah, it doesn't matter, does it? Take it down there at 9. You'll be done by 11 o'clock, won't it? It's only a bloody service, isn't it?
Ask him, just say, I've got a very important... Yeah. Don't tell him you're going to MK Dons, he'll just laugh in your face.
That's a bit annoying, really, because they don't want to have it done. It's a work span, but they don't want to have it done during the week because we'd have to take time off work. So you think, do it on a Saturday morning. It eats into my own personal time, doesn't it?
Into your own? That's a disgrace.
That's a bit, but well. Oh well, that's pissed me right off. That I really did not. I was not aware of that. Anyway, I'm aware of it now. So anyway, back to Saturday. Yeah, just another, like I said a minute ago, another game we played all right, but we've still lost, haven't we? So I don't know how many losses that is.
It's a lot. I mean, it's not a league game, obviously, but the dreams of the quadruple are over. We've still got a treble, but
I don't know.
League, JPT and League Cup.
Yeah, well, they won the JPT, I would have thought. Looking good. Won that card.
Yeah, we're only, 2 or 3 games away from Wembley in the League Cup, so...
Once we beat Leicester, we'll be laughing, won't we?
Exactly. Having a good run in the league, before you know it.
Yeah. What do you think
judging
then,
by their goalkeeper, he's not much good either. He's their goalkeeper's the Wales one. So after yesterday, I'm pretty confident.
Was that
Hennessy? Oh,
no, Jones, the one that actually played yesterday.
Who, for Leicester?
Yeah, he's their main goalkeeper, I think.
God, they were useless, weren't they, Wales? I got to be honest. You know, I find it quite funny because the whole day yesterday was just Wales, wasn't it? And all plucky little Wales, they done really well. They absolutely stunk the whole place out, didn't they, on the pitch? They were fucking useless.
It was the first half. The only thing that worried me was that it was reminiscent of the first half against the USA, and I thought second half Wales are going to start playing like USA did. But it was actually worse, I think. They did nothing to... It's like it's a knockout game. It's a one-off game. And they didn't seem to set up to try and win the game at all. And they were playing so deep as well.
Who, Wales? They were just, I don't know really. I fell asleep. I've fallen asleep watching every single game at night. Everyone, without exemption. I'm falling asleep. But I thought, they had them all on the radio, didn't they? They had a whole load of Welsh fans and, it's just great to be here, getting here is the best thing. You just stunk the whole tournament out. You're fucking useless. Sorry, they were. I find it
I don't get
irritating.
That argument either.
What?
I don't get the argument, it's just nice to be here. I know it's been quite a long time, but it was only 6 years ago that they were in a European semi-final. They are quite...
And it was only a few days ago they were looking forward to knocking England out.
Oh, yeah. All the English players were looking forward to knocking England out, weren't they?
I don't...
He
played
for England a few years ago.
With the national stuff, if you offered international football and you're convinced that you're not going to make it to England in this case, Georgie Baldock never going to play for England, but because his mum had a kebab once, he's playing for Greece. So
yeah, see. Anyway, back to Milton Keynes. So, like we said,
I've just seen that second penalty. Sorry, that's ridiculous.
What, from Johnson?
Yeah, he just literally passes it to their player.
Yep. We're getting caught out in the way that we were at the start of that season under Russell Martin, and then last season we got it perfect. But now the players, they're receiving the ball with their backs to the goal, which isn't necessarily a problem, but they're effectively playing it blind. And if they get it wrong, or there's a bit of curl on it, a bit of swerve, and teams must be looking at it and thinking, we don't really need to, have a real high press. All we got to do is hang around for them to give the ball away.
That's what it seems like at the moment. It's like, as I said, as I said earlier, I didn't see the highlights until I started, just so I sort of knew what we were talking about. But it's been the same with pretty much every game that I've not been at the moment. I've just been that disinterested. I'm not bothered about what the manager says. I'm not bothered about what the players say. I'm not bothered about what happened. This
season is passing me by. It really is.
We're into December. At this point, when this goes out, we're in December, and it doesn't feel like the season's really got going.
No, there's nothing to get excited about. It's one step forward every now and again, and then 3 or 4 back. We don't seem to be improving in the areas where we need to improve. In fact, we're probably getting worse in terms of giving the ball away like Johnson did. It's just.
Well, I'm watching it now.
You can't. You know what needs to be sorted.
Oh, he's elbowed him in the back, hasn't he? I've just watched it, but he wasn't the guy.
Yeah,
that
but it was. But they were both penalties, as far as I'm concerned. Both clear penalties.
Oh well, he's scored that again. That bloke, I've just watched it. Still scoring it every time I watch it.
And that's a striker that we were interested in as well in the summer.
Of course, yeah.
But it was between us and Portsmouth. It was between us and Portsmouth. He went to Portsmouth, apparently. So yeah.
I think it's a good way to put it. Like you've said, the whole season's passing us by. Like you say, it's nearly December, I mean, half the season will be gone in like a 2 or 3 weeks' time, won't it? And you just think, it feels as if it's not really started yet, does it? It's just a bit meh, isn't it, really? There's nothing to get excited about, nothing, Couldn't even be arsed to find out what time the game kicked off on, like, Saturday. I couldn't, It's just how much of a disengagement I've got now with it. I had absolutely no idea that kicked off at 12:30. Because, like, last night, I was saying to my wife, I goes, God, I hope these bloody don't win, because if they bloody win, then, then England will be, kicking off at 3 o'clock just as the Dons kick off. So I genuinely did say that. So what can you say? It's just another. I mean, I'm
sure I've definitely mentioned it on this very podcast.
Look, I don't listen to what people say.
I don't listen back to it, but I'm pretty sure that
you probably did. I don't listen.
You know now.
I don't know, which is a bit annoying. I have to run about like a headless chicken now. That's annoying because I'm going to struggle to get. I'll get there when I get there. If I miss the half an hour of the first half, it ain't the end of the world, is it? It's nothing, is it? I'll go down there and I'll just say to the guy, I'll take it down really early and just say any chance you could whip it in, mate, because I'm going out at 1 o'clock or 12:30 or whatever. Not the end of the world. If I miss it, I miss it. What can you say? I'm not that bothered, to be quite honest, one way or the other.
Mm.
So, yeah, there you go. What can you say? So, Dan, the reason why you wanted to come on was you were going to regale us with your match day experience.
It's just so. Well, everyone knows that it's just gone to shit, really, hasn't it? At the club, there's no incentive to get there before kick-off. There's no incentive to stay long after the full-time whistle, and that's been the same for me because, like, most people probably know, like, I get in early because my lift is basically he runs the program shop, so he has to get there for Lewington's early. So I was always right up there straight away, like whenever the bar opened. I'd spend God knows how much up there on drinks because there's just nothing else to do when you're in the stadium. But now, because of everything that's gone on inside, outside, whatever, me and my group, we've just decided, well, why should we go to the stadium for a mediocre pint that's far too expensive? We go elsewhere. We rock up really early. I don't really see too many people now. It seems like sort of up in the bar, and it's just there's no incentive to go back to how it was. And for me, I don't know. It seemed like Winkleman's just tried to do so much to boost whatever income he can get in the stadium, but everybody that I know has now decided, right, we're not going to spend any money inside the stadium because it's just too expensive. It's too expensive and it's too low quality. So,
do you think it'll ever go back to the way it was?
I think it has to if he wants to boost. If he wants to boost everything, if he wants to boost fan enjoyment, if he wants to boost profits, I can't see how, with the state that the club's in at the moment, we're earning more money than we were last year, even with the massive increase in prices. I've got no idea how. Because you look at the crowds. We base it on tickets sold anyway. So even when I'm not there, I'm counted for a league game because I've got a season ticket. But you look at it and I remember mainly the Derby game. I think I was looking around, and I was convinced they had more. I was absolutely convinced they had more fans because it just looks empty. And then again, you just see.
It did look like, but they didn't have more. We did genuinely have 900 more than them.
Yeah,
it was just spread around so it looks. But I saw the official attendance and the actual numbers, and we did have more. In fact, it was a very good turnout in terms of everybody turning up for a change. But then you suppose it would be for a game like that. So
yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's just one of those where, like, I look at the cup games. Like, we never got huge cup attendances for like the games like Taunton Town, but then just with what he's trying to do with cost saving as well, just shoving everybody into the East Stand. If I was in two minds about going, I would have said no if I couldn't go in the Cowshed, because I've done one game already in the East Stand this time and I didn't really enjoy it. So I don't really. I've got so many things in my head, which is just like, if Pete did this, then like it might get better. Like for me personally, because I've never been one to be turned off by the actual football. But I sat through Robbie Nielsen, I sat through Tisdale.
Well, this is what I've been saying for weeks now, is that with Tisdale and Nielsen, you knew what you were getting, didn't you? You knew that Tisdale the way he was going to set up was to not lose. Nielsen effectively didn't have a clue about how to play in League One, so you pretty much knew. But with this team, you're looking at it and you're thinking, there are people that could come in and play in different positions or whatever, but it's not. It's more a case of they're playing in those positions because they're replacing someone who hasn't done a good job there. It's not necessarily a like for like replacement. It doesn't necessarily make it their usual position, and the starting 11 has settled down somewhat, but it's still clear that how many different combinations of it we try, it simply isn't good enough, and something's not right.
Yeah, it's not really the football for me. I think that's the point that I'm trying to get across with this. It's just everything around it. And I think John, you made an excellent point on the forum this week when you were talking about Pete Winkleman's priorities, talking about the snooker and the music and everything. And it really does seem like, it feels to me like I'm not wanted outside of the hours of 3 and 5 o'clock. That's what it seems like. Like, despite them opening at 12 and despite them doing whatever, it seems like they really don't want people like me there who go for the social side of things. Like football, win, lose or draw, I'll always be there.
Well, it comes back to that question then, doesn't it? Why is that? What's the reason for that?
It's just everything. I think it's just. I remember getting in on the first game of the season. The staff didn't have a clue what was going on. We didn't have a clue what was going on. Things had been taken away that we weren't told about. I don't know if it's just a lack of communication, a lack of care, a lack of.
I didn't know anything about the.
No idea. It doesn't.
Sorry, go on, Dan.
What was that? Sorry.
I was about to say.
I was just going to finish up.
I didn't know anything about the season ticket discount being taken away. I just flashed my season ticket thinking that you would.
No, they did the staff.
No one told us that was a thing any longer.
Yeah, no, they did the staff. I wasn't on the podcast just after that, but I genuinely remember again. So as I said, like, I'd be the first in there because my lift needed to be there before opening. So I was the first one to try and have a pint this season up in Lewington's. They charged, what was it, £5.80 or whatever it was for a cider, and I was there thinking, hold on, what about the discount? You've not even asked me. And they had all three of them behind the bar, crowded around this one computer, trying to look for this season ticket discount button that didn't exist anymore. So one of them had to run down to the bar manager to find out that there wasn't a discount, and the bar had been open for 20 minutes at that point.
I've seen it on Gate 5 where the stewards get their briefing, and we have a chuckle because he shows me his briefing and his schedule, and we find all the things that are wrong, like the home booth not being open, for instance, when it generally is. Yeah, we did I can't remember which cup game, I think it might have been Morecambe, and the stewards I'd been given were told that they were there only to see people into Lewington's before the gates officially opened. And I said, well, I find that difficult to believe, as Gate 5 is the only gate that is open tonight. So every general admission ticket is coming through this gate. And no one knew why that had been arranged. And I did ask, and they said, we don't know. So it's just, but from the point of view of a fan, and it does feel like that side of things has been completely forgotten. So whereas previously, we've said about Andy Cullen before, that was always, he looked after the fans, he looked after the match day experience, he did all that side of things. Who's doing that now? where is the match day experience? Everything is reactionary, like the Lewington stuff, and a couple of make me chuckle press releases going out saying the club are doing this, club are doing that. It's going to cost us more. It's going to cost us more investment. Where was the original investment? Because as far as I know, Colin paid for everything. It feels like there's no one wants to take responsibility. But more worryingly, no one seems to think there is an issue.
What is this supporters board doing then? I mean, what are they supposed to be doing, this brand new shiny supporters board? Are they not supposed to be like addressing shit like this?
Well, they started with the Lewington thing, which is now being addressed. But the point is, it's all reactionary.
Yeah,
these issues should not be there in the first place.
Yeah, you shouldn't be having to address it. Someone should, view that sort of holistically and just go, hang on a minute, if we do this, they'll do that, and if we don't do that, then they'll be asking why this has been done. So it's like they wait until like basically the shit hits the fan, and then they try and clean aforementioned fan, rather than thinking I don't want shit all over my fan. I'll do this so I don't get a shitty fan. That's what it is. That's what it's become.
There's no. We got the supporters board, which is fine.
Are you on it, John? Are you one of the members of it? I bet you are.
No, but you've got the likes of Ollie in there. John Samuel knows his stuff, but it is exactly as Dan says. You're going to a game where they've already got your money.
Hang on a minute. Update: Argentina have just scored for you blokes that are 3 minutes behind. Sorry.
Well, thank you very much. They've just 18 seconds into the second half, and I've now got to sit here and wait another minute.
Spoilers, they haven't even kicked off here.
Not even kicked off at Dan's. Oh, Wojciech Chesney's looking a bit bereft for himself. Hang on, I'm replaying it now. I don't know who scored it. I've just seen it's come up. They were all in a huddle. Oh, you might be offside there. The boy that plays it in. I can't see who scored that. Number 20. Who's number 20 for them?
There you go.
Anyway.
Daniel Sturridge.
Was it him?
Number 26 has played it in. Oh, he's scuffed it. He's scuffed it terribly.
Well,
but yeah, he might be offside. His kneecap might be offside.
I think the boy that played it in looked a bit offside, didn't he? Anyway, that'll get ruled out.
Yeah. So that is where we are. It's like they've got your money, but as I say, I don't think that's the attitude. That's the wrong thing to say. We've got your money. We don't care. It is that there is no awareness other than mumblings on the forums, mumblings on Twitter, and just in general sort of people moaning. And it is a case of these are the problems that a lot of people are going on about. What are you doing about it? And there's very little coming from the club. And I mean the Lewingtons thing, we know all about that, and that's being addressed now. But again, it definitely feels like that that's not my job.
I don't think they're doing it deliberately. I don't think they're doing it deliberately to wind anyone
up.
No,
that's it. That's what I'm saying. Is that there's zero awareness.
A complete lack. Yeah, it's a total lack of awareness that there aren't any problems. Was it you that said recently you spoke to Bobby Winkleman and he just turned around and said he was like amazed when you when you told him that there was a problem? Well,
I said to him, that Lewingtons is a gold mine, because that's. If it's done in the right way, and there was a period, and again we can say it's because we were doing well and more people were turning up, but one thing that your traditional football fan, and we still do have a lot of those, I mean we've got a highest proportion of families and whatever, but a lot of families go up to Lewingtons as well, because they either go to the bar or they go to the kids area, and mum or dad will have a drink as well, and they'll buy a burger or whatever. So I was surprised at his reaction when he sort of looked at me as if saying, well, I don't think it is. But perhaps that's because it's the initial financial outlay, but for money they haven't got. But for me, Lewingtons is an investment, because there is nowhere to go. You are literally got the entire stadium at your disposal. And there could be other ways of getting them in. Well, the football being on, obviously that gets people in, and they want to get in for the early kick-off. So the 12:30 opening.
They can't even get that right, Tony, can they? They can't even get that game on the bloody telly 9 times out of 10, can they?
Well, that seems to have been sorted now. To be fair, when I went in last home game, everything was working all right. They'd put the sound bars back. That was funny.
Fire hazard.
Yeah. They got some tables and chairs in there now. I'm hoping there'll be more, possibly a lot, hopefully a lot more. But I don't know. It really, really does feel like it's a chore. It's, we've got this problem. Oh, who's going to sort it out? Well, I'm not there that day, and it's just a complete lack of awareness, I think. And although, yes, lots of things have been acknowledged, it almost seems that it's, begrudgingly being acknowledged and stuff being done very slowly. You could say, like I say, if we were tanking along like we were last season, and it's difficult because we're not, it's difficult to say whether we would be a lot happier and putting up with it than we are now. Definitely not being good on the pitch is having an effect. Dan and your group would spend, must be in the region of at least, 200-300 quid before a game between you and your mates. Would you say, Dan?
Well, with how expensive the pints are, yeah, maybe a little bit less, but it's over the course of the season, it's got to be sort of four figures.
Yeah.
And now we found somewhere else to go. It's as simple as that. It's cheaper. It's better. So there's a sense from my lot that even if Lewington's improves, even if the the discount comes back or whatever, we're still not going to bottle. We might go up. We might say leave the pub a little bit earlier to go up there for like 2:30 or something. But that's still 2 hours that would have normally been up there that I'm now elsewhere.
Yeah, and there's no incentive financially because my usual tipple is £6.5 now. The IPA, the Camden.
Yeah, it's nice that. I can't argue with that. It's a lovely pint of beer. That I got to be blunt. It is.
Yeah,
that's the only good thing about this season.
Is that after the Euros, the beer itself has actually improved greatly.
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
because they did. Colin was saying that they had a complete sort of. I don't know what they do.
I mean, that's irony right there, isn't it? That they make the beer better and everything else absolutely shit, It's just like, up until now, the beer's been shit and everything's been alright. I tell you what we'll do. We'll make the beer really good, but we'll make the match day experience absolutely shit to compensate for that. You can't have everything, fellas, Can't have your cake and eat it. Look, it is what it is. We've said this a million times. I genuinely it's a good point. I don't think it's done deliberately, but it's just a complete lack of any awareness that there actually is a problem that someone needs to look at. It's just,
Well, I think the awareness is there now, but it still seems to be, and there is, there aren't anywhere near as many people as there were, and we haven't got any money. But we're talking the basic bread and butter fans that are not coming to not great crowds for home games, away games, although we don't really benefit financially from those. But it's just, you only have to look at that away crowd at Portsmouth. And that would have been, for me, that would have been a big game normally. I'd have looked forward to second round at Pompey. But before I've even got there, my optimism of any chances of winning the game has already gone.
The problem I've got now is that I've got the opinion that we won't win again, to be quite honest. I know that sounds a terrible thing to say. I mean, last year.
It's like you can't see us pulling anything out of our arse, can you? And that's the thing. And
no, not at all.
I see a lot of young talent and players on the pitch, but I don't see them as a unit achieving anything other than glorious failure and at best escaping relegation on the final day for our excitement for this season. That
will be it. I mean, it's a worrying thing if we get relegated, because I genuinely think if we go down this season, that will be a death blow to this club. I'm not over exaggerating, because I mean like, if we go down, you're not going to get any casual fans in through the door for the dross that will be, playing in League Two. Will we? No chance. You'd be lucky.
No, and you look at the teams that are down there with us. The bottom, or from 16th downwards, is Shrewsbury, Fleetwood, Cheltenham, Accrington, Cambridge, us, Burton, Morecambe, and Forest Green.
What can you say?
Of those, five of them are above us, and at the very least, 6 points clear of us.
So here's a bold question.
That's one of the
then.
most depressing things you've ever said, Tony.
It is, and that's what you have. If you look at it in that context, you could say Oxford are usually down there at the beginning of the season. They've done their usual. They've had a shit start to the season. Now they're working their way up the table, and they're now 13th. Charlton are having their usual mid-table mediocrity type thing, but we are 21st because we are not good enough to be anywhere else at the moment, and the results reflect that. We've won in the league. We've won one of our last 5, and we've lost 3 and drawn 1. That's 4 points from possible 15 there.
I think December, if we're actually sort of going to talk about sort of the table and form and like sort of getting out of this battle, December is huge for us because we've got Peterborough at the end of the month and we've got Portsmouth somewhere in the middle, but our other games they're teams down there with us. I think our next 2 aren't they home to Burton and
we've got Burn at home on Saturday, obviously. We've got the Fleetwood a week later, also at home. We've got the EFL trophy in between, and then we've got Portsmouth away, then Leicester, and then we're at home to Forest Green. So 3 league games there, all at home in December.
What time do they kick off at? They don't kick off at 12:30, do they? I need to know well in advance, to be quite honest.
All the home league games are 3 o'clock.
You sure? I'll be checking.
Bristol Rovers kick-off time hasn't been confirmed, but that's the EFL trophy, and obviously the Leicester game is 7:45, which is also a cup game. So
what night is that Leicester game? Is it the 22nd?
It is the 20th, Tuesday the 20th.
Oh, that's so bad then. Oh, that's the week where I finish up for work. Oh, that's good. I'll make a week of that, I think. So, just a quick...
If we got 9 points there...
I'd say we need a minimum of... We need a minimum of 7 against the teams around us. So the Burton, the Fleetwood, the Forest Green one. If we don't get 7 points, then probably...
It is possible that we win all those 3 games and we're still in the bottom 4.
Okay, no, I'll correct myself. That's the most depressing thing you've ever said.
Yeah, because the teams that we're playing, I mean, we are 6 points off the team above us to take us out of the relegation zone. So we'll have a net gain of 3 points. But what's to say that those same teams don't get something from the 3 games that they're going to play in that same period of time? This is the reality of it now. Is 3 home wins, 9 points. We could still easily be, and that's the best case scenario, really, is to get that 9 points and see where we end up.
One of the main things I normally say when we're in this sort of position, people are calling for the manager's head. I'm always of the opinion, well, who's going to come in that's realistic, that's better than potentially what we've got?
Well, we've been saying it for a long time, haven't we, about the players that they would inherit.
And normally I'd be of the opinion, well, I can't see anybody available that's better. I can see something in the team that could improve. I can see something in the manager. This time I think I'm a bit different because there's one manager I think that I might prefer over Liam Manning that's just been sacked from Wigan. And I don't know if it might not be very realistic that we could get him in, but he joined them when he was sort of in a similar situation. So if I'm Winkelman, I'm probably sat there thinking, if we don't get at least 7 points out of those 3 games, I would probably be looking at getting rid of Manning and bringing in Liam Richardson if he can for January. That would be my
it's at that point we're looking at someone to come in and keep us in League One.
If you're going to change the manager or change the head coach as he is, you really have to think about doing that now, because he has to come in, he has to have the whole of December to assess what is needed, and then you've got January to sort of go out and, I don't know, try and spend what little money we've got. There's no point in getting rid of Manning
That's a good point, actually, because
you need to get. If there's going to make a change, which I don't think would make the slightest bit of difference, because I don't think Manning is the problem. I think the recruitment's the problem. However, having said that, I mean, we said on this podcast last week that they blatantly don't listen to what they're told, do they, these young kids? So, I mean, if you get, I don't know, your guy from Wigan, is he going to make them listen? I don't think it would make any difference, Dan, to be quite honest. I really don't. I think I think all hope is lost, to be quite honest, They're going to change that thing as you walk out the tunnel. Instead of, it's us against the world and the world doesn't stand a chance, they're going to change it to abandon all hope, all who enter here. That's just what it is. It is what it is. I mean, it's just, that's what it is. It wouldn't make any difference. Change the manager, keep him. We're stuck with these kids, and that's how it is. I'm sorry. They're not good enough.
It's a good point. My thoughts are only that he did it with Wigan. He did it with Wigan a couple of years ago, and then he got the time to build them into. Did they win the title or did they go up in second? I can't remember.
Second, didn't they?
They did that. So
they won it.
No, they won it, didn't they? Of course, it was between us and Rotherham, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The main point I'm saying is just that normally I can't see who could come in and do better. This time there's not that.
All right, let's say you're looking at him.
I genuinely think he could come in with a young team.
If you're looking at him and saying, come in and do the same job as you did at Wigan for us, get us out of the shit, build it from there. So job one would be keeping us in League One, getting some stability and a few points on the board. Would Liam Richardson be looking at that and saying, "Nah, you're all right. I've seen what you've got.
Possibly.
I've seen what you've got. What have you got for me?" And Jenny, and I think what John said is a good point, because if you're going to give him till the end of the year, there's a big glut of games. This is the busiest time of the year. It's the quietest time for the average man on the street. But in football, Christmas is where there's a lot of points up for grabs, and we've got there's 15. So if we start from Saturday, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 league games until the beginning. We should count the New Year in that as well, really, shouldn't we? Because you've got
it doesn't start
the New Year's Day game.
Yeah.
So there's 6 games from Saturday until the 1st of January. There's 18 points there. That's a huge amount of points.
We'd be lucky to get half of that, mate. Extremely lucky if we even get half, to be quite honest with you. That's how bad it's got for me. I don't even expect to even win a game. Like I said a minute ago, I don't even expect we'll win any, to be quite honest, Just don't.
Yeah, I mean, that we are playing teams that are in the same position as us, and we can say what we like about we should be beating teams like that, but we are one of those teams, and they're probably looking at us now and thinking we should be. But this is where we can get 3 points from MK Dons now.
That's where it's changed. I mean, like last season, people were shit scared to play us. Now people are looking at us and thinking, well, there's 3 points right there, no problem. That's how it's changed within the space of I don't know how long is it? 6 months since we last, were in.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And there's also the glorious sort of the glorious defeats, but Plymouth came here and beat us easily. Derby came here, beat us relatively easy. Sheffield Wednesday came here, beat us relatively easily. We haven't really got any. We've got nothing about us to suggest that we could beat those teams, and I'm including Peterborough as well. There's plenty of teams that you're looking at and you're thinking, "Oh, no, I'd much rather be playing Burton because we might have a chance of winning." We're not competing against the teams that are in the top half of the table.
Oh no, I mean the top half.
We're not even close.
It's a pipe dream now. Even like our aim now is to not get relegated. That is the most important thing. It's not like slowly creeping up and maybe we might get into the playoffs. most important thing and the sole aim of this club right now until like May is to not get relegated. That's the biggest thing. And I would be, and I'm not saying this, I don't know, to like elicit some stupid response, I will be amazed if we like manage to stay up, because these kids we've got at the minute, I've said it before on here, they're just nowhere near good enough. They're not. And if Louis coming out and saying like in a post-match interview that they don't listen to what they're, not listen to what they're told, what can you do? There's nothing you can do about that. It's just point blank. You can't. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm just, that's what it is.
Louis wasn't in the squad on Saturday either, was he?
No. He's probably just rested. I mean, he's nearly as old as I am, isn't he? He needs a rest the ball.
Yeah, well, it wasn't in the squad for the cup game either.
Maybe they're keeping him for
if
the league game.
If he's not in the squad this week, then you know that Manning's probably not been very happy with his comments. And if that's the case, I'm not just saying it's just drop Louis, like get sacked. But if that's the case, like he has effectively lost it. That's what he's saying. He's saying that Manning's lost the dressing room.
There's only going to be one winner, like out of that argument, and it's not going to be Liam Manning. It's as simple as that. You seen what happened when that Scottish idiot tried it.
I think that's the main reason why I think maybe change isn't the worst idea. The only reason why I said if we don't get 7 points is because I think these are some. I know what we've just been saying, but if we're looking at any games as to say, right, we can pick up some points here, it has to be these ones. And if we don't do that, then I really don't think there's any excuse to not get rid of him and not bring in someone that's been there, done it, or just anybody with fresh ideas.
So let's say we get that 7 points. If we take that 18.
Sorry, guys. Sorry
points.
To break it to you. You'll catch up in about half a minute, you blokes.
Oh, not again.
Oh, he's not looking.
If you take those 18 points to the 1st of January, and we come out of that with, I mean, based on your 7 from the 3 games where we think we've got the best chance. So if we take that 7, what are you thinking from then Plymouth and Peterborough?
None. They're all away, aren't they, as well?
Wait to see this, fellas. You got it yet? That's
no, still waiting.
Oh, just sort of passing it around.
Here we go. It's Messi. No, it is Messi. Is that
it's not Messi, no.
No, it's not, no.
It's number 9, whoever he is.
Di Maria?
That's a cracking goal, that. Alright, the old Argentinians. I tipped them to win the whole thing. It'll be half an hour for Dan before that bloke scores on Dan's telly.
Yeah, so they're still passing it around the box at this point. But no, I would say, because I think Winkleman came out, or I saw something like maybe it was a sort of a behind closed doors sort of conversation, saying that he was happy to give Manning January, which I'm sort of sticking to, and that's the main reason why I said if he doesn't get these, that's a great goal. If he doesn't get these 7 points, then that's probably where I'd say just cut his losses before January. Try and get somebody in. Very, very unlike Pete, but try and get someone in quickly, so then he can have sort of the majority of January to do what he needs to do with the team, and then hopefully push us out of the bottom 4. That's where I'm sitting, sort of based on what he said.
It's going to be really difficult. It's going to take a lot of points to get us out of that bottom 4 at the moment. We're 6 points adrift as it is. I'm really, really now, having had this conversation with you chaps, the reality is hitting me that we're not only are we going to be in a relegation fight, we are actually going to be one of the ones that people who are looking at and saying, you're the ones that have got to get out of it.
Yeah.
We're not.
Would you like a bit of positivity, though?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Barnsley in 2015 were in this position going into Christmas, and they got promoted that year. So
they were actually, yeah. They actually were.
So
yeah. I was going to say earlier, actually, one club does it every season.
Who do you think it's going to be this year?
Smashes it.
It's not going to be us, is it? That's for sure.
I got a feeling it won't be us.
As it stands right now, it's not going to be us. But I don't know, if the players start listening to Liam Manning, or we make a change, or they just decide, hold on a minute, we're not actually this bad, let's start playing football, then there's no reason why it can't be, because looking at the squad player by player, it's not a bottom four squad. Like I look at Morecambe, I look at Burton, I look at Forest Green, I look at some of the other teams down there. Player for player, they should be a lot better, but for some reason, whether it's just I don't know, sort of like we've only got a handful of good players and the rest are dross, or again they're not listening to what the manager wants to say, and then it's just a bit of a clusterfuck on the pitch. I don't know. It's just it's abject. But again, as I said earlier, like what's on the pitch isn't what's keeping me from it. So I can take this. I enjoyed League Two last time. The club might not survive, but I'll have fun down there.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that we should, like we did under Tisdale, come straight up again, but
not this time.
I mean, we were relatively lucky the last time round.
We had Chucks and Niki, mate, for a start.
And I'm just thinking of some of the teams that will be down there as well at that point. So if they don't get promoted this year, of course, you'll have your Bradfords, you'll have Stockport, they've got some money behind them, and they've got a good team. You probably have Wrexham, so like Wrexham with the Americans in charge, they're always going to be a force in whatever league they're in.
Right, I think we should start winding up because we've done rather longer than I thought we were going to do. Shall we have for a prediction for a Saturday?
Yeah, well, I've actually got a couple of emails from Rag again.
Oh, go on. You can pick one of them. I'm not having two. Pick the best one.
He did admit to being in the pub last week.
Yeah, being an
arse.
He
said Chesney Hawks during the halftime show was random. Do you remember when the Pigeon Detectives played on the pitch before an FA Cup game?
Yes. I do remember that.
I remember that, yes.
You've got silly shoes on and you're going to fall over in the penalty shootout, which they didn't, thankfully for them. Dan asked them to play Careless Whisper and they were pretty much booed off. What TV did you watch on the Saturday night in the 90s? You had Noel's House Party, The Generation Game, Gladiators and Stars in Their Eyes.
Gladiators,
yeah. I watched Noel's House Party.
No, Gladiators, mate, that's it.
Were you born in the 90s? Are you around in the 90s, Dan?
I was born in the 90s. I think the only thing I was watching back then was probably something like the Tweenies or Teletubbies or something like that. Thomas the Tank Engine. That was a bit of me.
So
you don't remember Gladiators then, no?
Saturday evening.
I was a child, yeah.
You don't...
I remember Stars in Their Eyes though, but not from the 90s.
If I say this, does it ring a bell? Gladiators ready? No? Does that not make you? Does that not Fristy and Roche?
I never watched it. Really? But I know of the show.
That was a ridiculous programme, it really was. He used to hit one another with pillows, didn't he? Remember that? Cudgel sticks. Now, mate, it's a pillow with a broomstick. That was a load of shit. Contestants, you will go on my first whistle. Remember all that shit? Oh, God, he was rubbish, him.
And he wants to know, as a heating engineer, JT, what's your favourite radiator? He says, I love a Dimplex, they're great. When I had a flat at uni, I had a Dimplex radiator. I don't know, I'm nodding off. Yeah.
Yeah, and me, I've lost interest, and it's my professional opinion that he's sorting. I get what you like, mate.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Get whatever you want.
Is that he done? Is that him bored us to death with his usual load of shit? Right, I'll take that.
I'm not really. I mean, I've cut that down.
You've lost interest in even answering. Right.
No, just forget it.
A quick prediction for Saturday, and then we'll wind it up. I'm going to go 2-1 to us.
I'm going to go a surprisingly easy 4-1.
4-1, Dan, go on.
I'm going to go 2-0. I think the early morning will probably shock them because they won't have been awake enough to remember that they're rubbish.
They'll all be saying, hurry up, because these van's in for a service. We score 2 goals before he turns up, it'll piss him off. That's what they're going to say. Right, that's been interesting. It's good to have you back on, Dan. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
I think it's been an interesting discussion, but it's something that we've discussed countless times over the last couple of months, isn't it? So I dare say we'll be talking about it again.
Yeah, no, I know that it's just like I've not really been able to rant that much about it because I've just not turned up. I've not bothered.
No, it's good to have a different perspective, isn't it? You know, someone a bit younger, a bit more like, you know, because like, I'll be honest, Milton Keynes Dons is not my only football team, you know, so someone who's, I'm assuming, like the Dons is your only team. It's good to have, you know, that perspective from someone that, you know, that's their only team, you know, rather than someone that supports some load of shit north of the border who are even worse than Milton Keynes at the minute. They've sacked their manager, aren't the Rangers? Maybe we could get Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and he's good. That'd be something.
You've signed another one actually, which is
we have Michael Beale.
There's a bit of a Russell Martin tangent I could go on with him, which is quite funny, but we're already running a bit late.
He was Gerrard's assistant, Michael Beale. They reckon he was the brains behind the thing, you know. So no,
he said a couple of weeks ago that he was all in at QPR and he wasn't going to be pushed out the door.
Ah, well, he didn't fuck off at half time, did he? And get in a car and drive to Wales now. Drive up to Glasgow. Right, we're done. So we'll be back next week. Whatever happens, we'll have scored some goals and we'll have got some points. What do you reckon, Tony? What are the chances of that?
Oh, we'll take some points, definitely.
Right, that has been 57 minutes. That's a long one again, Tony. All the short ones have gone by the by now.
Yeah, we didn't actually discuss much.
No,
there you go.
It's a bit difficult when none of the three of us...
Usual disclaimer, if you've got this far...
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Right, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.